Okay, official welcome to all, and again to Dov leading us in a little musical preparation for Havdallah and for the new week ahead. Dov, thank you.
ולבשמי מולבונה לרגליך ניתן לילה יורד ליד ברוח יושנוש בה הווה ילחש לך שיר בלב זמר של אהבה שחף ומיונה ראשך מלא צללים החל הבוקר שושנה הכתפנו לי לילה יורד לאט ברוח של שנה שבת הווה ילחש לך שיר בלב זמר של אהבה לילה יורד לאט ברוח של שנה שבת הווה ילחש לך שיר בלב זמר של אהבה למען החי ורעי למען החי ורעי Hashem Elokeinu Abakshatayim Leman Beis Hashem Elokeinu Abakshatayim Lai 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 la 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 lai lai dam la 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 lai lai dam lai 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 la 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 dam lai la 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 lai lai dam la 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 lai lai dam lai 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 la dam Laman ivory eye Laman ivory eye Ataberono Ataberono Shalom
Beautiful. Thank you, Dov.
You're welcome.
Havdallah, those of you who be Yotzei, I have you in mind. Just getting the candle lit on our end. הנה אל ישועתי אבטח ולא אפחד כי עוזי בזמרה אדוני ויהי לי ישועה ושפטי מים בששון ומנה ישועה לאדוני הישועה על עמך בחרתך סלע אדוני צבאות עמנו משגב לנו יעקב סלע אדוני צבאות אשרי אדם בוטח בך אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו ויום קוראנו Laidim haytaora v'simcha v'sason v'yika ken ti'eh lanu kos Yeshuot Esau v'shem Adonai ekra savrei manan rabbanan rabotai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei b'samim Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei me'orei ha'eish Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lecho ben or lechoshech ben Yisrael la'amim ben yom hashvi l'sheshet yemei hamaseh Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. Once again now, Shavua Tov. Off to a good start of a new week. Nice to see you all. So I want to tell you about two friends. Both of them nice people and concerned about one another. The first, Ruvain, lives in an area that many people consider to be a vacation spot. And he has a nice home. And from time to time, when he goes away, he calls his friend Shimon up and tells him that he's leaving. And if by any chance that he wants to come with his family and enjoy his vacation destination, he's welcome to use his home. And so on this particular occasion, Shimon was ecstatic, and they were able to come, and he and his family came and visited for a short stay, but they were in Ruvain's home having a very nice time. And the day before they were scheduled to leave, late in the day, like at night, they were looking at this fish tank, a gorgeous fish tank that he had with lovely fish in it. And they noticed that one fish was dead. There were 11 other fish in the tank swimming around very happily, and this one dead fish. So they disposed of the dead fish, and the next morning, before they were ready to take off, they first made a stop to a local pet shop, and they bought a fish. They put it in the tank, they packed their car, and they went home. When Reuven returns to his house a couple of days later, he's like shocked. When he goes over to the fish tank, there's only one fish in the tank. Some remnants of others. And he calls up his friend and says, I hope you had a good stay. He said, yes. And thanks again. Thanks very much. But the only thing is, I left when we left to go away, the fish tank, had a bunch of fish in it. He says, I know, and we know that one was dead. He says, one dead? What are you talking about? I only have one fish in the whole tank. He says, how could that be? We saw one dead fish and I took it out. I figured I'll do you a favor. You're so nice to us and everything. I went to the pet shop and I, got a fish that more or less looked like the other fish. He says, really? You don't really know your fish, Reuven said to Shimon, because you wound up buying one of the most aggressive fish possible and you put them into my tank with the fish that were more gentle. It was a big no-no. So he actually, even though he wasn't aware of what he was doing, he certainly didn't do it intentionally, but he introduced the fish into the tank that wound up killing all the others, and he had a feast on most of the remains. So now the question is Shimon, the guest, is he responsible to replace those fish? And they weren't inexpensive fish. Tropical fish can be pricey. So the answer is based on a Gemara in Bava Kama. It says, if a person comes and leads an animal, whether it be his animal or actually not his animal, here it actually says somebody else's animal. So if the answer is going to be true, in this case for somebody else's animal, will be a kal v'chomer, will be for sure true if it were his own animal. But so if a person takes and he places an animal into somebody else's field, which has crops growing, and that animal, eats a certain amount of crops from that field, so the person who brought the animal over is responsible, even though the person didn't eat the crops, he didn't cut the crops, but because he personally introduced the animal into the field, so he is responsible for whatever the animal consumed. And, in general, the Torah has a very high level of respect for the human being, and as such also places a very high level of responsibility on the human being. And one of the principles that we apply is Adam mu'ad li olam. When it comes to animals, we make a differentiation between an animal that just, may have been aggressive with a person, once, versus an animal that got to the point that he already has a chazaka, that has established a pattern of being aggressive. With a human being, you go right to the higher level of responsibility right from the beginning. We have a good cup. We can think about what we're doing. We can plan ahead. We have a very, very high level of responsibility. And so Shimon, who thought he was doing a favor, should have done more research. Maybe should have taken some photos of the fish in the tank and showed them to the person in the fish shop and make sure that they're going to be compatible with what he had. But it was, even though it was not intentional, it was not responsible. Maybe even truly irresponsible that he didn't check out the details. So anyway, next time you go visiting someplace, one of your friend's places and there's a fish tank and you want to do them a favor, make sure you don't introduce any new fish without checking out with your friend and then maybe with the pet shop as well. We should have a good week, a hassle-free week for all of us. Shavua tov.
Shavua tov.
Yeah, you're welcome to unmute.
Shavua tov.